I, 26 female, have a preschool son with my ex, 30 male. We broke up around 4.5 years ago after he went to prison. A month later, I found out that I was pregnant. He was released a few weeks ago. Earlier today, I ran into him while shopping. We ended up talking for a bit. I had my son with me, and he asked about his name and how old he was. When I told him, he had a weird look on his face but didn't say anything. I didn't think anything of it and continued my day. A few hours later, I got a call from an unknown number. It was my ex asking me directly if my son was his. I told him he was. He wanted to know why I never told him. I said it didn't matter because he was literally in prison for 5 years, and my boyfriend had been the one to support me through everything. I could hear him getting increasingly agitated, and he demanded that I let him see my son. I told him if he calls beforehand, we can work something out. He agreed to it, and I thought that was it. I then got a text from a mutual friend asking me if it was true that my ex was my son's father and that I never told him. I said it was true, to which he called me a witch for keeping my ex away from his son. I told him to mind his own business. When my boyfriend got home from work, I told him what happened, and he said he would be fine with my ex seeing our son occasionally. We started dating while I was pregnant, and he loves our son like his own and is actually in the process of adopting him. I know he doesn't like my ex very much, and if he had said no, I wouldn't have agreed to let my ex come by occasionally. Around 2 hours ago, 9 p.m., my ex showed up at our door with a stuffed teddy and some toy cars. He said he was here to see his son and demanded we let him in. I told him it was already past my son's bedtime and that he should return tomorrow. He ended up trying to push his way in, and when that didn't work, he started yelling that I was a lying witch, that I had no right to keep him away from his son, and he just wanted to see him. My boyfriend tried to de-escalate things, which ended in a fight. My ex then left, and I told him to call next time before coming over. My boyfriend doesn't want him to come over anymore and said I shouldn't have told him that he's the father. I do feel kind of bad now, because if I had handled this differently, all this drama could have been avoided. Should I have told him immediately, or should I have lied to him? Well, the adoption is off the table unless the ex signs off his rights. You should also retain a lawyer and go to court to get custody and visitation orders. Have everything worked out through the courts. You are the idiot for not telling him, and judges don't like that. A huge can of worms you opened up here. This right here. You lied by omission to the father for 5 years and are trying to act like he should have no rights to his son. You've been lying from the beginning and lied on the birth certificate that you didn't know the father. He has every right to be involved in his son's life, regardless of past mistakes. It's not for you to decide. He was definitely in the wrong for showing up late at night and causing a fight, but put yourself in his shoes. You've denied him the last 5 years of his son's life that he will never get back. Imagine if the situation was reversed. Oh, I disagree. Everyone's the idiot here. He's been in prison up until a few weeks ago. His poor choices kept him away from his child. He'd likely known about his child from the start if he hadn't been incarcerated. The mother should have told him, there's no denying that, but she was under no obligation to drag her child through prison visits. Dad's first reaction is to resort to violence. He'll be back inside in no time, when he'll no doubt whine about not seeing his son, despite it being entirely his fault. Update. Am I the idiot for not telling my ex the truth about my son? Thank you for the comments, but I must clarify some things. My ex is not registered as the father. He went to prison for assaulting someone. I'm not asking for legal advice because I know it won't come to that. Neither of us is the kind of person who runs to a lawyer or the cops at every little issue. We'll probably just have to work something out between the three of us. I don't want to keep my ex from seeing his son. When we broke up, we had a huge fight, and I was angry with him. I didn't see him for the entirety of my pregnancy, and afterward, I didn't want to tell him while he was in prison. I've known my ex for 15 years and dated him for 8. I know what kind of person he is. He has a few issues, but I know that in his own way, he didn't mean any harm by coming over at that time. It's sweet that he got a gift, but I wish he had called ahead so we could have agreed on a time. Right now, my son is still too young to really understand what's going on, but I plan on explaining it to him when he gets older. My ex texted me this morning to apologize. He said he was shocked when he found out, and in his head he just wanted to see him immediately. We agreed that he'd come by this afternoon. My ex already said he didn't want kids, so I didn't expect him to care. He can also be a bit impulsive and doesn't stay interested in new things for too long. Honey, based on your update about your ex, it seems like even more of a reason to get a lawyer. He won't go to court over this? He also has multiple criminal charges, or we'll probably just have to work something out between the three of us. OMG, you are the idiot, OP. You're delusional, and you seriously need a lawyer. Doesn't matter if you can afford it or not. You're endangering yourself and your son, and your boyfriend. My partner and I were on a family trip for Labor Day. We went to his hometown, close to where we live. We rented a hotel and we have a toddler. Obviously, traveling and existing with a toddler isn't always the most enjoyable. My toddler also got a small cold, which I did too. It was delayed by maybe a day or so. My partner comes from a trashy family, and there's always a lot of drama and stress when my partner sees them. My partner doesn't carry stress well. He's on edge with me, our son, and everyone around him. On the last day of our trip, he asked to work out. I stared blankly at him, and he said, "Never mind, I'm just going to go work out." I finally said, "Well, we're on a family trip." He said he didn't know why I had a problem with him working out. Well, we're trapped in a hotel room. My son is sick, and I'm now sick too. The last thing I want is for my partner to leave for an hour because he fails to self-regulate himself in other ways where he's still present for our child and me. We're at such a standstill. I think he's not putting our family first, and he feels like I'm being controlling. The reason why my partner has to work out is for anxiety and ADHD. He needs the dopamine hit to feel in control. To me, a small hit of dopamine isn't being in control, it's just a quick high. I don't know, y'all. Am I being an idiot? He left you to work out for an hour? 1 hour? It's not like he's leaving the two of you alone with his family for most of the day. Just hang out in your room and watch a cartoon or something with your kid for an hour. Yeesh, you are the idiot. Working out is a form of self-regulation. He doesn't have to be with you 24/7. Stop clinging like a dingleberry. You are controlling his crap. Also, the way you minimize and condemn his method of self-regulation is really gross. When you have ADHD, that dopamine isn't just to feel in control. It's about getting your dopamine to a baseline that isn't deficient so that you can function like a normal human being. Be thankful he has healthy ways of managing. I wish my partner would go to the gym for an hour instead of smoking alone in the car. Why can't you self-regulate and manage your emotions in a way that allows your husband some personal time? You just wanted him to be in a room sitting there, being miserable after dealing with his trashy family. You and your son were in the hotel room with a cold. What could he realistically do for you in that 1 hour? If you allowed your husband to meet his need for exercise, then he'll be more present and better able to serve his family. My son introduced us to his ex-girlfriend, who I'll call Heather, 6 years ago. They had been dating for 4 years, and Heather hinted to him about a proposal. However, they broke up when my son got intoxicated and ranted about how much he wanted to break up with her, what he hated about her, and how she wasn't his type. Heather went through his phone and saw messages on how he was planning to break up with her before he went on a trip with his friends. He wanted to break up with her for a while, but never did. It was his friends who convinced him. Heather broke up with him first, and she was a mess. My husband and I love Heather, and after they broke up, we were disappointed in our son, but we still love him. We still talk to Heather. She's family to us. She comes to dinner a few times a month, and we invite her to holidays and our birthdays. My son got upset at this, but we kept inviting her. My son has started dating a new girl for a few months, and he wants us to meet her for the first time before he leaves for her country to meet her family. He made it clear Heather was not to come. While I would accept that condition, I think it would be best for his new girlfriend to know how my son acted. I told my husband and he blew up on me, saying it was inappropriate. No one wants to meet an ex, and if we focus on his past, he'll never get into a relationship or give him room to change. However, his girlfriend will meet Heather soon anyway. We invite her to every gathering. Heather also wants to meet my son's girlfriend. My husband told our son, and he canceled the meeting. So am I the idiot? His girlfriend has the right to know. You are the idiot. OMG, with parents like you, who needs enemies? She needs to know things by your son's mouth, not by his lunatic mother trying to meddle and force his ex onto her. Why are you damaging your son's life like that? You are a cruel person. Your son did nothing wrong. He only didn't know how to break up. Also, Heather invaded his privacy by going through his phone, and you're on her side? WTF, OP. And what did that poor new girlfriend do so wrong for you to be willing to be upfront and rude with her and make her uncomfortable? I hope your son gets away from all of you as soon as possible. You need serious therapy. Move on from Heather, lady. Your son surely did. Boundaries, mama. Your son is not 5 years old on a play date. He's a young adult navigating his own life. My mom wasn't ready for me to grow up, and with her clinging, she almost lost her relationships with me and with my younger brother. Your husband is wise. Stop meddling in your son's romantic life and stirring up drama. 4 months ago, my husband's dog was hit by a truck. She's now an assist dog, like she can't go up and down stairs without being carried and can barely walk unguided. She had most of her hind leg amputated. They say she will likely never gain mobility in her back end, and my husband isn't willing to spend money on PT for her. When she was hit by the truck, I was 5 months pregnant. I'm literally due any day now. 2 months ago, I told him I couldn't do this anymore. The amount of pain I was in from lugging his 40-plus pound dog up and down 3 flights of stairs multiple times a day, or holding her up to use the bathroom was excruciating. All the bending and lifting was causing my sciatica nerve to send twangs throughout my entire back, butt, and legs. I also resent the dog severely because of this, even though I know it's not the dog's fault. It still didn't change the fact that I grew resentful. Honestly, the fact that he would spend hours with his dog when he got home, asking her how she was, and laying on the floor with her, without even so much as speaking to me or asking me how I was, definitely added to it. So I told him I wasn't doing this anymore, and I decided to leave. I never told him he had to get rid of her. I never mentioned it. I said I was taking myself out of the equation because I was done with it. He begged me not to go and said he'd get rid of the dog because he couldn't be home to take care of her, and that I was right, and that this wasn't fair to me because of how much pain I was in, and even apologized for selfishly expecting me to do all the heavy lifting because he leaves at 5 a.m. and doesn't come home until 5 to 8 p.m., depending on whether or not he hangs out with friends after. So I do all the dog duties. He started searching for a family member or a family friend to take his dog, at least temporarily, but he stopped searching at least 3 weeks ago and started ignoring his mom's phone calls, who found someone to take the dog. Yesterday, I asked him when he was getting rid of his dog like he promised, and he said he couldn't bring himself to, which I get that, but I'm still not willing to put up with this crap. I have a kid due any day, and I won't be lugging this animal around when I should be healing. So I told him that my daughter and I were leaving, despite her not physically being here yet. He's trying every guilt trip in the book, including shaming me to make me feel unreasonable and heartless. I can't tell if I'm wrong and if this is hormones, but I can't do this anymore regardless. Edit. He's not willing to pay anyone to watch the dog because, quote, you're home anyway. So no, he's unwilling to make any compromises, regardless of how bad he claims he feels for pushing off all the heavy lifting on me. Jesus, that's brutal. To start, you're not an idiot. Carrying a 40-pound dog up and down stairs while full-term preggo is dangerous. Does your doctor know you're doing this? You will lose your crap taking care of a baby and a disabled dog. He's not willing to pay anyone to watch the dog? Then he can get bent. Who does this guy think he is? I wish you the best, especially with your daughter's arrival soon. This poor dog has zero quality of life. He's not thinking of the dog. He's only thinking of himself. You're in no condition to be schlepping this dog up and down the stairs, and will definitely not be in any condition to do so after your child's birth. For your own health, you should leave now before the baby's born. He's already indicated where his priorities are at this point. OP, leave temporarily and see what he does with his dog. The reason he's bending is because he knows you're there to do the work anyway, despite all your complaining. From how you worded it, he won't even be much of a help in caring for your child. Stay with a parent, a sibling, or a friend. Your focus should be on the birth of your daughter, not taking care of a man-child with a disabled pet he couldn't take care of. My brother recently proposed to his now fiancée, who I'll call Sky. My brother and Sky have been dating since high school, and since then we haven't gotten along. She's very dependent on my brother and doesn't like to share his attention. My brother was in basketball, and when we went to his games, she would look for me and tell me not to cheer and get upset when I did. We had the same agri-science class together, and when I was talking to my friends for advice, she would overhear and tell my brother I was talking bad about her behind her back. Some of my brother's friends even talked about how odd her behavior was whenever my brother shifted attention. She would act aloof around my parents as well. My brother said her behavior was because she didn't have a good home life, and I believed that, but I decided to keep my distance around her. When we graduated, she didn't want to keep living at home, so my parents allowed her to live with us. I was against it, but my parents insisted because she had nowhere else to go. Living with her wasn't better, and she wanted more of my brother's attention. He would promise me that he'd make up for lost time, but then he started canceling our plans and stopped attending my birthdays because of Sky, and he didn't want to upset her. I decided to go low contact because I stopped expecting anything. When my brother got a job after college, he worked on getting Sky therapy. She's been in therapy for almost 3 years. I don't know how she is now. He recently proposed to Sky, and he announced it to the family. He invited people over to his home to announce it, and I didn't come. I heard from my cousin. He's been texting me through our parents' phone, asking to talk, because he wants me to play a big part in their wedding and reconnect. He also said Sky's sorry. He made his priorities clear when he constantly chose Sky over me. I told him I would not attend his wedding, and now my family is mad at me. They told me Sky went through a lot and is getting help, so I can't blame her past behavior and my brother for helping her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She sounds like a dog I used to have who had resource guarding issues. She found a good thing, and she was going to keep it no matter what. The problem is that no matter what will probably involve her isolating him from everyone and killing the relationship at some point. However, you said she's getting help, so maybe she can work through it. I hope so. Your brother will need you if and when this relationship crashes and burns. I'd keep a door open for him just for that eventuality. This is great advice. I lost a friend in my early 20s to a narcissistic partner. It took her 12 years to break free, but when she did escape her crazy wife, I was the only one she reached out to because I was the only one who didn't blow things up when she cut us all out. I'm glad my mom gave me the same advice you're giving OP. I disagree. It was the brother's choice, and the brother's the one who killed the relationship. Despite what the family says, yes, you can blame your brother. It's been 5 years, and no apology except to say, Sky is sorry? By the way, do they have your phone number? Do they know how to text or call people? Because if she can apologize to you and hasn't, then she's not sorry. Exactly. Sky says she's sorry? LOL, no. I bet she didn't. Is the brother sorry? Is he gonna apologize? Is brother willing to make an effort beyond saying, "Come and show up on my wedding day to play happy family"? The problem is that the brother totally dropped OP, and he's the one who needs to make an effort to make it right, 'cause he's acting like the past 5 years haven't happened.